that I led the effort in fighting against, and that is the Arkansas library system. Now, this is the same library system that has allowed for a lot of indecent books to be given to minors. But you can see all the various different departments: Veterans Affairs, Transportation, Shared Services, a lot of places where our funding should be going, but is, and oftentimes within these departments, there's often problems within that. But there's one in particular that I actually, here's a bunch of boards. The Auctioneers Licensing Board, for instance, apparently you need their permission to be an auctioneer, and they have a budget of $136,000. There's an abstractors board. I guess I'd have to ask what an extractor is. Geologist Registration Board. You have to register with them to be a geologist. $60,000. And here, what I'll do is I'll copy the link to this budget, and then I'll put it here in the live chat so you can see it for yourself. And I had to adjust the stream here, so if you were looking at if you're waiting for the other stream, it's not this one. It's not that one. It's this one. And I'm posting a link here to DF&A that you can then share with others. I'm trying to make this public here. Here, I'm finally sharing it on Facebook. But folks, this is the kind of stuff, and again, the media could spend a lot more time talking about this instead of less relevant issues. But this is the budget. This is where the money goes in, and this is, of course, the state, not the federal. You can see the DHS and their Medicaid match, $12 million. You go further up, you have the Department of Health, various boards and commissions, Athletic Training Board. And some of this isn't that much money, $20,000, so that's not that much. Here's the one I wanted to focus on, these two particularly. First ones I wanted to focus on, the Martin Luther King Jr. Commission. Now, this commission seems to do a lot of good. It was named after a registered Republican who worked with both parties to end racism and was likely assassinated by our government. That's, of course, Martin Luther King. And he wasn't perfect at any stretch of imagination, but this is a board named after him. But does this board really need $363,000? That's a question that needs to be asked. That's a lot of potholes. That's a lot of police officers that could be hired. A lot of things could be taken care of with that much money. But then, of course, the big thing here is the State Library Board. And let me blow this up because I just realized it's a little bit small on the size here. This is the Library Board. This is the board I believe Jason Rayford has been appointed on. And you can see some of the revenue they have here. They even budgeted for $9 million. And then there's a distributed revenue. I don't quite know all the details of how this works. They apparently received some federal aid and then cash funds that they have on hand. And they're at almost $13 million for their operating budget. As we've seen before, libraries not in Saline County and other places have shown a very bad habit of allowing, again, inappropriate material to go to kids. There's also been oftentimes a lot of examples of waste that has gone on in the library on wasting money on items that they didn't need to spend money on. And apparently, and I know in Pulaski County, when we fought the library system, they were able to hire the law firm for Dustin McDaniel to handle some of their uh, to give them consulting regarding some of their legal issues. So there's a lot of, and I think Jason Raper made a proposal to just cut the funding to this organization. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that was his proposition. I didn't read the actual proposal that he made not too long ago, but I believe what he wanted to do is just defund this whole thing. And this is actually something that the state legislature can do, is just say, you know what, we're just going to have somebody else pay for this because we don't need to be paying for this organization. And the problem is, and we, by the way, for those who don't know, we have a Republican supermajority. We control 3/4 of the legislature. We could very easily defund this type of organization if we wanted to. And we could just say, no more dollars for you. Go get your money somewhere else. Get it from one of these leftist actors, LeVar Burton, or some of these other artsy folks. They seem to have lots of money. Get them to fund you. And I think I think it's what most of the Arkansas voters would like. And if they were given a choice, if they were A, told about this, and B, told which item would you like to mark the 0, I'm pretty sure the state library board would be one of them. And I'm sure a lot of these other departments are probably getting cuts as well. I did try to look for the Department of Corrections, and I believe they have a board that's gone through some different scandals regarding, there's a guy there who apparently allowed abuse at this place called the Lord's Ranch. Several state legislatures are calling for his resignation, but a lot of these boards, you can't remove them from office. You can't do a recall vote on them. The state legislature can't remove them. And even the governor can't remove them. I believe they can only be removed if it is majority of the other board members say so. But the legislature could do something to at least reduce the amount of corruption in these boards, and that's cut their funding. There's the parole board, but I don't think that's the same as the corrections board. I'm not sure. But you can look over here and see their budget, $121 million for operating budget for the corrections department. Now, I don't know if that board is in among that or how that works. Now, oftentimes, a lot of these boards, they may not have a salary on file, but they'll be meeting in a place and they'll have a lunch budget and they'll have training sessions, and that'll come out of our tax dollars. Here's another one that needs to at least be looked up: the Economic Development Commission. This is from the Department of Commerce. When you hear about these big ribbon cutting ceremonies, and these big businesses get some kind of break that mom and pop stores don't get, $181 million. They just had a sawmill in Camden that was supposed to give 50 jobs, and I don't know how many millions of dollars was given into it. And it's announced, nope, they're having to back out because apparently the deal fell through. And there's actually a lawsuit regarding that. I've tried to look for that story. Matter of fact, I think I could find it right here. New York investment firm Astara Capital Partners, recruited by the state to reopen Camden Timber Sawmill, closed the mill late last year. Now it's being sued by Camden's Arkansas Pulpwood Company. Now, if you go to Arkansas line, I think you have to subscribe. When last time I tried to look for this, you weren't able to. Oh, there it is. Oh, $13,000 for equipment and log delivery, thousands of dollars for work and delivery. So a New York firm was recruited by the state. When they say that, meaning your tax dollars were used to bribe these people to come by and consult and help set up this company. And now you and I are going to be left holding the bag. That's what that means. Now, they may not say it in that exact detail, but that's really what that means. Somebody screwed up on one of these economic development plans, and you and I are left holding the bag if you're a taxpayer. That's really what that means. And you can see this link on Twitter. And it was announced that it was actually about this time a year ago. Sarah Huckabee Sanders was there. The mill would generate more than $50 million a year for local economy and support 60 jobs. It was Governor Sanders' first economic development and job announcement. But the Arkansas Economic Development Commission to recruit Astara Partners. Astara didn't respond to multiple requests for comment. And there's some more comments about this. Michael Smith, who owns the El Dorado Timber Company, he can't get Camden Timber or Astara to respond to him about the few $1,000s he said he owed. A few thousand. They're taking it like it's little. And then here's another person, these other people that are trying to get answers. Department of Finance, Advanced Arkansas Tax Backs, or performance based administered by the Department of the state offered Astara 3 incentives for redevelopment of the mill. They include Advanced Arkansas State Income Tax Credit, a tax-backed sales and use tax refund, and $240,000 community development block grant. We really should get the dollar amounts on this other stuff, because I guarantee you they got a tax credit that you and I don't get, that your mom and pop store doesn't get. A tax-backed sales and use tax refund. So they got a refund for, I guess, their sales and use tax. How much was that? If $240,000 seems to be the smallest number, what was the other number? The timber industry is facing a volatility. So we bailed these people out. We gave them money. And now these poor folks here in Camden are left holding the bag. This, I believe, is Jeremy Gillen, who's standing next to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Maybe I may be looking at that wrong. I believe he is a state legislator, if I'm not mistaken. Or is that Matthew Shepard? Honestly, it's kind of hard to tell. Y'all let me know if you can figure out who that guy is. Honestly, it's kind of shady. Well, more ways than one. But yeah, I am kind of having a hard time to figure out who this guy is right here. Oops. Oh. And here's a little more details about some of the money that we're supposed to have. We're supposed to have a revenue surplus of $240 million. By the way, that's money that the extra money they're taking from you they don't need. down from 2023's 1.1.6 billion. So what they're doing is instead of giving you your tax money back, they're wasting it on pet projects like this. So again, the fiscal session's coming up very soon. A lot of the hearings for it have already been happening. I haven't been able to go to a lot of them, and the budget's going to be debated. And here, I'll share this tab instead. This is some of the stuff that we're talking about here. You look at our tax, this kind of, and this is from Ballotpedia, this assesses kind of our economic service system where we're at. This is, I think this is income. But this is what I really wanted to focus on, how bad things are. If I can get to it, it's our overall tax rate. Here it's at the bottom. State tax collections by source in thousands, 2016. Look at Arkansas and look at the surrounding states. Look how much they collect on our property taxes. It's over 1 million. And then we have these other ones, income tax, we still have that. You may notice some other states are higher, but that's because they have bigger populations. We're around 3 million in terms of, I guess that's taxpayers. And this was 2016. This is older numbers. But look how much are per capita collections compared to other states, even bigger states, and even the U.S. We were higher than the U.S. I don't know what has changed since then because this is older information. But for a while, we've been, I think Arkansas was the second highest taxed state in the nation. We may have slightly gotten off of that since we reduced the income tax. But what's happening is a lot of other taxes have gone up. Fees, fines, local taxes. We had special election tax increases since then. So your income tax may have gotten lower, but your other taxes from various cities and counties has gone up. By the way, side note, the city of Paragould, which is, I believe, in Greene County, up in northeast Arkansas, is fighting a tax increase. And the people there are urging everyone to vote. The conservatives up there are urging people to vote no. And I believe they do have a Paragould Against Raising Taxes group that you can join. Real simple, straight to the point. This is the kind of stuff I did when I fought against a tax increase in North Little Rock. Matter of fact, let me go see if I can find them on Facebook. There are some events that are happening today. Actually, I'll share this. Today at 2:30, there's going to be an online event, Stand for Life. These are people that are going to talk about the fight against the pro-baby killer ballot initiative that's going on. You can urge people to vote against this. There's a decline to sign effort campaign. Hopefully they will hire blockers. That's actually a job that I did, where you go to public places and you tell people, do not sign this. You are signing the right to murder the unborn. You're also signing a right to have even more abortion than we had under the unconstitutional Roe v. Wade. But this Wednesday at 2:30, I believe it's on this Facebook page. So you can go there, you can find that, and then let me find this Paragould raising taxes. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Paragould right, but anyway, this is a group right here. You type in Paragould Against Raising Taxes to show you if you're in this area or you know people in this area. Early voting is at Greene County Fairgrounds on March 4th. Election day is March 5th. So I'm slightly wrong about the election day, but fortunately, the good news is this is not during an odd time. I know these people that push this, by the way, they tried to push this last year. They tried, I believe it was a hamburger tax. Oh, here it is. Here's the timeline right here. City of Paragould, the Advertising Promotion Committee, which, by the way, your city shouldn't have one of those, proposes a hamburger tax to fund trails and tourism. Citizens crowd the city hall to say no. Hamburger tax is tabled. And then in March of last year, the state of Arkansas passed Act 190, which prohibits cities from levying hamburger taxes. We also, and they didn't mention this in this timeline, we also passed a bill that banned the special election tax increases, so they can only schedule at a certain time, which is during the primary, during the general election. What they were doing is they were scheduled, what these cities and counties were doing is instead of governing, they were deliberately scheduling tax increases at a time that they knew people would not show up. And so by doing that, they were limiting the amount of people that would show up, and then only their people would be there, and they would be, the tax increase would usually pass. So by scheduling it on the primary day, more people will be there, and hopefully, because of that, tax increases like this will be voted down. But again, they're still trying. So, and if you know, there may be some other tax increases that I just don't know about. If there are any that are going on, please let people know as soon as possible. Not getting any audio? Uh-oh, hold on a second. I do have the camera on. I have Podbean on. For those who are following me on Facebook, if you're not getting any audio, try on the other links that I sent on Rumble. See if you get audio there. So anyway, speaking of the elections that are also going on March 5th, there are actually some judicial races that are going on, and this is by a guy named Robert Steinbuch. All right, he's been a mainly legal expert regarding the Freedom of Information Act. And he has a list of judicial recommendations. Oh, that was the issue. I think it was. The Robert Steinbuch's been involved mainly in the Freedom of Information Act, but now he's actually talking about what is going on regarding the judicial races, and these are his recommendations for at least the district court in Little Rock, Tellez, Camps, Burgess, and then for district circuit court, Cortinez. Regarding the Arkansas Supreme Court, either Webb or Wood, but not Jay Martin. Jay Martin's a Democrat. And then regarding the other Arkansas Supreme Court position, there is Judge Carlton Jones and Courtney Hudson. Now, these are both Democrats. So I'm not sure which of those to actually support. But that I'm kind of leaning toward Courtney Hudson just because I know that Carlton Jones is actually someone who is been supported by the there it is. There was a problem. That was supported by a lot of the Democrat operative, a lot of the, I think Mike. Oh, what is it? Who was a U.S. Senator that we defeated? Mark Pryor. And I believe Blanche Lincoln and other Democrat head honchos were in a fundraiser for Carlton Jones. Also, if Courtney Hudson wins, I believe that Sarah Huckabee Sanders has the ability to appoint someone to the Supreme Court to replace them. Same with either Barbara Webb or Rhonda Wood. But folks, anyway, just a review, because I know I did have some audio issues. The fiscal session is taking place on starting pretty soon. The fiscal session is, and a lot of the hearings have already done it, have been going on regarding it. You can contact your legislature and tell them to cut some of these items. You can see how much they spend on everything from the House of Representatives to the judicial offices. What I would like to do is a breakdown of these specific judicial offices and defund some of them. For instance, Judge Tim Fox, who's been, and Chris Piazza, these judges have been leftist activists. And just like our federal government, where Congress has the power of the purse, our state legislature has the ability to cut the funding to these radical judges. These judges, by the way, overturned the ban on gay marriage that was passed by ballot initiative. They've overturned a whole bunch of other items. We passed bills to stop these bums from going out on the street and clogging up highways and doing panhandling. And I think it was Tim Fox. So one of these leftist judges just threw it out. And so now we have a big homeless problem because of it. And a lot of the crime in Little Rock is because of that. But you see all these councils and boards and different commissions. Here's one that needs to be cut, AETN. I know there was an effort to try to cut the funding to AETN in the last regular session, and we weren't able to get the votes, even though, again, we have a Republican supermajority. But we did, but eventually, somehow, some way, over 75 Republicans managed to vote to fund the leftist PBS broadcasting network. And now they're getting $17 million, almost $18 million as part of their operating budget. Can you imagine if people in Arkansas called their legislatures and reduce that down to zero? How much good that would do. You could cut the funding to this, and that's not a small chunk of change, and give that money back to the taxpayers. And you make those kind of cuts on other departments, and you suddenly don't need an income tax. You suddenly don't need a property tax. And you can be like these surrounding the states that surround us, and having a lot less in terms of government waste and other items. Well, folks, that's mainly what I wanted to talk about is those items. Do listen to the whole thing I did, and be sure to share this with others, especially my Podbean. My Podbean will have the complete audio of this, so if you miss something, you tune in and listen to the whole thing and follow along. But again, just check me out, Just the Right Angle, on Rumble, YouTube, Keep Arkansas Legal, and on Podbean. I will see you all later.